All right, for the questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Daryl, and we'll just work our way this way, and then on the second one, Jody, then Chuck, TC, and so on. First question is this. Butler County is currently $90 million in debt. What is your plan to make our county more fiscally responsible?
More fiscally responsible? Well, I think that I'm very fiscally conservative. I think that we should have taken advantage of the prosperous times a few years ago, and you know, maybe not spend as much money as the commissioners did. I understand there's always a need for improvement, but when you look at the total size of the budget, I just think being fiscally frugal is important. Yeah, now we're hurting because the economy's down, and I do think that the main way is not to increase taxes. I agree with that. But I also think that making this county one of the best places for businesses to come is the priority. We've got to do that. I think that's my answer.
The debt is what it is at this point, and we're going to have to deal with it. What do we do now is the question. Moving forward, I would suggest that we are very, very careful in considering new developments. When we look at developers that come in and say to us, can you help us out with infrastructure? Let's ensure that there's some return on investment for the people in this county, that we don't end up with debt, with optimistic predictions of what increased tax values are going to bring, because that is how we end up with some of the debt that we have now. You really need to ensure that you are not selling $1 widget or $5 widgets for $1, because sometimes you can develop your way right into a hole. That's something I would consider moving forward. As far as other measures to control spending and to control the budget, I would go talk to some of the offices in the county and look at ways that we can do things smarter, cheaper, better, business improvements basically, and look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Butler County has been such a fast-growing county, it was necessary to build a lot more infrastructure. We had to build a new jail. We had the revolving door system where the people would come in and be booked and they'd be right out the door again. We had too many criminals on the street. We had to have swift and sure punishment to fight crime. So we built the jail that will serve Butler County through 2050 and beyond. We had to build new courts. We had to have new courtships, judgeships, I'm sorry. So subsequently we did have to build the courts, and so we did that in the government services building. We also had to build a new Board of Elections building because of all the problems they had, particularly in Florida with the hanging chads and what have you. It was necessary to change the system, and we needed a lot more room than what we had where it was located before. That we've done, and we added also the Ohio State Extension building there with it. And there's the Emergency Management Building, we've done that as well. Everything is infrastructure on all that debt that we have that will pay off in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. With the what I had tried to get before was, as a commissioner, we only handle part of the employees, and that's around 750. So after evaluation, that's the only area that we can handle directly. As far as the office holders, though, I had always wanted a priority for the mandates, and then their needs, and then their wants, so that we could prioritize the money better than what it had been. But we cannot change the debt, and contrary to what Mr. Combs said, I also said no new taxes, and I was sitting next to him. Thank you.
I think Tim and I must have been in different meetings, but that's okay. What we need, basically, is jobs and economic development. The county basically has a limited economic development department. When developers come in and they have no one to talk to, that's a problem. So my emphasis, as always, is jobs, jobs, jobs. I have been very fortunate in the time I've been in Columbus. For the 4 terms I've been there, have always won the Watchdog of the Treasury Award. That's given to very few legislators who are given this award by their peers because of their fiscal service. Margie Condon, who's here, who has been a great representative for this area and does such a good job, she received a Seminole Award in her first year. So it goes, and you got to know how to work as a team and work together as your delegation in Columbus does. It has to happen here in Butler County. These commissioners have to work together.
Next, we'll start with Jody. Jody, what is your position on the Butler County Airport? Should it be sold?
I don't think that's a good call. I would not, that my position would be no on that. I think that it's an asset that can be managed better, but in terms of selling it off, I have concerns about that.
Absolutely not. The airport has captured millions of dollars in grant money. There's been really great improvements there. The new terminal building, a lot of new hangars. There's a lot of corporate jets going in and out of there now. It's a great economic tool, and it's done remarkably well in the last number of years. And I think it's something that we should continue to capitalize on. And we're in the process of trying to get a direct route from Bypass 4 to that in the near future. But right now it's been dubbed off. But there is plans in the future to have a direct access from Bypass 4. It is definitely an asset.
Hello. Yeah, and on this, I also wanted to establish an economic development group. And no, I would not sell it. If you read the paper, that the Blue Ash Airport is going to be probably closed, and I think that we should have already started some marketing efforts to capture that, and that we need to preserve this because you couldn't build a similar airport within 200 miles here within the next 10 years, and so that just needs to be marketed.
The airport is a great access to Butler County asset. It all comes together. It gives us another link to transportation. Many years ago, the airport was going under, and there was a consortium between Hampton, Fairfield, and the county to save the airport, which we did. We set up a board. That board could not function. They couldn't get together. They wouldn't work together. So with the help of, at that time, Commissioner Ed Shelton and myself, we brought the airport under the county. From that time, Ed and I would go to Detroit once a year, FAA, regional FAA office, and we never left there without a commitment for $1 million for improvements to that airport. And we did that for many, many years. I don't know if that's happening today, but that needs to be brought back up. And we need to work with FAA to continue to improve that airport, which will help economic development and jobs in Butler County.
Certainly it's an asset to Butler County. I think anytime you have an airport right in your county, that's a great thing. But I would just right off the table say that we would consider selling it if there was somebody interested in buying it. I mean, it's a large upkeep, and I've never found that the government does anything quite as well as the private sector. So that's where I see it.
Thank you, Joe. Next, we'll start with Commissioner Furman. What is your position on the decision made at the county to give a select few employees raises when the county is experiencing debt and layoffs?
Repeat that question, George, I'm sorry.
What What is your position on the decision made at the county to give a select few employees raises when the county is experiencing debt and layoffs?
We're not in favor of giving raises at all. Matter of fact, there's a freeze on hiring. There's a freeze on raises. Some of the union contracts that are already in place have to be honored. But other than that, we are not issuing raises. You can check any of our records, and that's not what we're about.
Yes, we're not doing that now in the last couple of years, but there was raises for select employees from 16,000 to almost 80,000 within just a few months, and so that was a practice that had swelled the payrolls and have contributed to the over budget which we had in those years, this somewhere around 2002 to 2006.
It's my belief that when it comes to raises in government, there are studies that show that today government workers are above the private sector. It has flip-flopped. That has to be addressed. You can no longer continue to pay out taxpayers' dollars in wages and not get the services you deserve. So I would be one that would be totally opposed to raises at this time when you see the private sector who are either maintaining or dropping salaries. We see this a lot, and we see a lot of jobs that are not there, that were there a few years ago. We have to bring those jobs back to Butler County.
I'm not familiar with any particular group of people who got raises. Obviously, Mr. Furman says there's a salary freeze, which makes sense under the circumstances. SB 5 would have probably helped take care of that. But certainly we have to be frugal. I think the wage freeze makes sense. And probably look at reducing the budget through attrition of employees who retire and that kind of thing, and see if we can reduce the number of employees that we're hiring.
Naturally, having worked in business consulting, it's important to align your compensation with positions and make sure that you have a good compensation structure, that you have good incentive structures from a business standpoint. What I certainly absolutely would not favor giving a select few people raises unless it was based on merit. I think we would all agree that in cases where there's a great degree of merit, someone is providing extraordinary value, you'd want to recognize those people or lose them to private sector jobs. That said, which in many cases private sector jobs do pay more than public sector jobs, if you look at some of the studies. With regard to the work culture at the county, I find it very interesting, just as a side note, that there's a $117,000 job as a county administrator that's currently unfilled and has been for months because there's something going on in the work culture there that no one wants that job, including people currently positioned to take it. So maybe it's hazard pay, I don't know.